welcome to From the Ground Up. I'm Tabitha Hubbard, the Assistant Registrar here at Fort Ticonderoga, and today I'm going to talk to you about some artifacts uncovered during the 90s and the early 2000s by a cultural resource management company. The company came in and they did a lot of work all over the site prior to the construction of the Mars Education Center. This is one box of 150 that holds that material that they uncovered. They uncovered material ranging from 18th century to 19th and 20th century material that tells the story of the site as a tourist attraction. This box in particular holds material from the East Terraplane. The East Terraplane is a section of the fort, and then the artifacts laid out in front of me are from a particular context or level within the East Terraplane. These artifacts show you the different types of material that were commonly being uncovered during those projects, and it also shows you what we are currently working on and cataloging right now as a part of an IMLS grant that we have. One of the types of material that we are finding and that they found are bone. So bone can tell us about the foodways and the diets of the people here in the 18th century. We also do find different types of ceramics, and then we also find glass within these boxes. Architectural elements are another big thing that we are finding. So we do find a lot of different types of, different pieces, I should say, of brick. So there's a lot of different sizes. So we are finding full bricks, and then we are also finding little tiny like flakes of brick as well. Nails are something that we find a lot of. So this is an example of some of the nails that were found within this context. Pipes are another thing that we have a lot of fragments of. So we have some bowl fragments here, and then we have a tiny piece of a pipe stem as well. We also find ammunition, like this musket ball, and then we find gun flints as well. Chert is another, or chert flakes is another thing that we are finding within these boxes. And in the future, we'll likely do videos that go more in depth into all these different types of categories that I mentioned here. And now I'll turn it over to Tyler, who will tell you more about some particular artifacts.
Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Ostrander. I am the cataloger here at Fort Ticonderoga, and today I'm going to talk to you about a couple of interesting highlights we've come across in the process of cataloging objects which were archaeologically excavated back in the early 2000s in preparation for the construction of the Mars Education Center. The first of these objects is a French clay brick, which was excavated from the area of the East Terraplane back in 2006. It dates to the 1750s, when the French had occupied Fort Carillon, now known as Fort Ticonderoga. And what's interesting about this object is not only the fact that it is a nearly complete brick, it's also the fact that there is an interesting symbol carved into one side of it. That symbol is a heart being pierced by what appears to be an arrow. This is a variation of the symbol known as the Sacred Heart, a predominantly Roman Catholic symbol which signifies divine love for humanity. And it appears to have been carved into this brick during the brick-making process. The French being predominantly Roman Catholic, it's interesting to think that maybe this symbol was carved into it by the brickmaker himself as a sort of protection symbol for the fort and its inhabitants. The second group of objects we have here are sherds of a French tin glazed earthenware plate, and these were also found in the area of the East Terraplane back in 2006. They most likely date to the time of French occupation of the fort, and what's notable about them is that these sherds actually merge quite nicely to form a mostly complete plate decorated with a blue linear design around the rim. This style was seen as a little more high-end than the basic plates that were commonly issued to soldiers in the French military, and for those reasons we believe that this plate was most likely used by a French military officer. It's just interesting in that we found plenty of smaller sherds of plates and other ceramics elsewhere on site, but this group gives us a nearly complete picture of tableware that was actually used here at the fort. The final example we have here today is something a bit more modern. It's a plastic flash cube which was found during the excavation of the French ovens in the year 2000. It was made by the electronic company known as Sylvania, and we estimate it was manufactured sometime between the late 1960s and the 1980s. Now, the way this device would work is you would mount this on top of your analog camera, and it allowed the photographer to take 4 consecutive shots with a flash, 1 flash per each side of the cube. So every time you'd advance your film, it would actually automatically rotate this cube and allow you to take one more shot with a flash. This is a little more useful than the single-use glass flash bulbs that came before this, but at the end of the day, it was also just as disposable. After these 4 flashes were used, you couldn't recharge it or repair it, so you just threw it away, which is probably how we ended up with it here at Fort Ticonderoga. The photographer probably got the 4 flashes out of this thing and just kind of threw it out on our site, which we eventually dug up, 30 years later. So it's kind of an interesting way to document our long-standing history of tourism here at Fort Ticonderoga. Now, all these objects and many more can be found on our Ticonderoga Online Collections database, which we are constantly updating to add even more objects for you to find. And you can also learn more about upcoming programs at the Center for Digital History, which can be found at www.fortticonderoga.org. Thank you for watching.